In today's video, I want to give you 5 quick tips for woodworking beginners. Let's dive in. All right, well, welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the podcast. As always, I'm so glad that you're here. My name is Zach Vaught, if you don't know who I am, and I have grown my woodworking business from my garage as a solo guy, really not knowing what I was doing or how to do most everything I was doing, to ultimately scaling that woodworking business to over $900,000 in revenue in 2023, a 6,600 square foot shop, a showroom, 7 employees, and I actually exited that business for multiple 6 figures. And I want to just give you some tips as a woodworking beginner to help you not just with the practical woodworking side of things, but really the mentality as you approach your new woodworking endeavors, whether you're just a hobbyist or you want to do this to make some money on the side, or you want to make this a legitimate business. Here's 5 quick tips for you as a beginner. Number 1 is to maintain a healthy fear of your tools. This is one of the biggest mistakes that I see woodworkers make, and I've had friends, even clients and employees that have gotten hurt. And when I say hurt, have gotten hurt as a woodworker because they did not have a healthy fear of their tools. And so one of the biggest things that I can encourage you with is that when you're running saws and you're running routers and things that have thousands of RPMs, those things, when they come in contact with your skin is going to be the thing that moves. It's not going to be the blades or the router bits. So you just need to be aware of how powerful these tools are and how much damage they can do if you find yourself on the wrong side of a blade, okay? So just be smart out there, be careful, make sure that you have a healthy fear of your tools. Number 2 is to batch out your work. And so what do I mean by batch out your work? And so as you're getting started in your woodworking endeavors, you're going to have different phases of a project. Or let's say that you are doing multiple items at the same time. You want to do the same process all at the same time across all of your items. For example, let's say that you're building a dining table and a bench. Okay, well, you have to laminate the tabletop and you also have to laminate the bench top. What a lot of newbies will do is that they'll build the entire table and then they'll come back and build the entire bench. When ideally what you would do is you would batch out gluing up and laminating that tabletop and that bench top at the same time. Now, if you don't have enough clamps, that's going to be an issue. But by batching out your work, you can stay in the same frame of mind and you can get more done at a faster rate by batching out your work. This is proven across every industry that there is out there when it comes to getting things done. Batching out work allows you to get more done more efficiently. And then number 3, I just mentioned this, but this is probably my favorite tip, is get more clamps. You're never going to have as many clamps as you actually feel like you're going to need. And so I would encourage you to save up some money, get more clamps than you think you're going to need, because clamps never go quite as far as they feel like they should. I can't tell you how many times, no matter how many clamps I've had in my woodworking business, I needed more. And so if you are going to be doing dining tables, if you're going to be doing things that you're laminating tops or laminating pieces of wood, you need to go probably invest in 10, 15 different clamps. And so start with 6 or 8, and as you get bigger projects, you're gonna need more clamps. I would build that into some of your pricing. So if somebody that came to you asking you to build something for them that you don't have enough clamps for, I would build a little bit of the clamp pricing into your price that you're giving them, just so that the customer can kind of help cover that for you as well. But great tip. I think anybody that has been a woodworker for any amount of time would agree. You always need more clamps than you think you do. So get more clamps. Number 4 is get a better sander and learn how to use it. Get a better sander and learn how to use it. So I made this a 2-part thing because a lot of guys will upgrade their sanders, they'll get better sanders, but then they're still using really bad practices for sanding and they're still ending up with the same old swirl marks, not a great finish. And so get a better sander. So what are some better sanders? So you want to move from just a cheap random orbital sander, a Black & Decker, to moving to DeWalt products, moving to rigid products, moving to Milwaukee products. And there are some of the less expensive brands out there that still make really great sanders. But the biggest moves that you can make when it comes to sanding, in my opinion, is not just have a random orbital sander, but also having a gear driven sander, like a Rotex 150 from Festool or Bosch's 6-inch gear driven sander. And that's going to allow you to take off a lot of material quickly and flatten projects fast. I can't recommend that enough. That became a staple inside of our woodworking business. We actually had 2 of those and 2 dust collectors with them. But get a better sander, learn how to use it. When you're sanding, don't keep it in one spot forever. You need to constantly be moving, but you can't be sweeping across the project either. You need to be moving slowly as you go, never leaving it in the same place. One of the best ways that I learned to do this was just to take a pencil, lay it on its edge, and scribe over your workpiece so that you know that as you're sanding it, you're hitting every component, every spot on that table. The other thing is don't turn your sander up on its side. I know it's tempting at times to do this if you have glue spots, but try to keep from doing that, because as you lift that sander up on its side, you're gonna get indentions in your workpiece, and you're also gonna get swirl marks in your workpiece. Last quick tip on this with sanding, try to keep your sandpaper clean. If you laminate a tabletop and you have a bunch of glue in the seams, try to get a hand plane, just a regular old school hand plane, to clean those seams up before you start sanding, so that you're not trying to sand that glue off, because as the sander is going over something, it's heating that glue up, and that glue is going to stick in that sandpaper, and then it's going to harden. As it hardens, it's going to scratch your workpiece, okay? So don't do that. Try to get all the glue off of your workpiece as much as you can before you get a sander on it, or be ready to just change a lot of sandpaper. You want to keep your sandpaper clean. So that's number 4, is get a better sander and learn how to use it. And then lastly, number 5, and this one is huge. This was a huge upgrade for me as I started my woodworking business, and that is to use a better, faster drying finish. And so when I first started, I was using polyurethane, which is a great finish. It hardens on the workpiece, but it's so slow drying. It takes 6 or 8 or 10 hours to dry. Especially as a beginner, you're working out of a garage, or you have a smaller space that you're working out of. You're sanding in this space, you're cutting in this space, you're doing all these things in this space, and then you get to applying your finish, and you still have all these little micro dust particles in the air. And if you have a slow drying finish, over time, as you put this finish on late at night and you turn the light off and you go in the house and go to bed, well, all those dust particles are going to be settling slowly overnight, and your finish is just not going to be as clean or as crisp as you'd like it to be. What I moved to was a lacquer, a quick dry lacquer that we would spray through a spray gun. Now, this is a little bit of an investment, but by doing this, your finishes are going to dry astronomically faster. So you're moving from a 6 or 8 hour dry time to a 40-minute dry time for each coat. At 40 minutes, you can come back and you can sand it again with a sanding block and put the next coat on it. So it dries faster, which is going to save you so much time. But then also, because it dries fast, you're not going to get all the things that were in the air settling into that finish. That finish is drying before it's falling. That's a huge improvement tip for creating a better finish. I cannot recommend that enough. The only thing to be leery of and to be mindful of, you're going to have some fumes. So when you start spraying lacquer, that stuff is strong. So you need to make sure that you're in a well-ventilated space. It's something that's not going to put anybody at risk. So just be smart as you do that. So those are my 5 quick tips for woodworking beginners. Just to recap, maintain a healthy fear of your tools, batch out your work, get more clamps, get a better sander and learn how to use it, and then use a faster drying finish. So last thing I'm going to leave you with today is, if you're looking for some more resources, if you're interested in growing a woodworking business, I have a completely free ebook that you should check out. It's the first link in the description below. We've had over 3,000 people download and read that book, and I've gotten a lot of great feedback on it. Cannot recommend it enough. So it's about a 90-page book. It's a fast read, but it really just outlines my journey from growing from my garage to where I described at the beginning of this video. And so if you're interested in that, want to learn, it's completely free. Check out that book. It's going to be super helpful for you. And so with that being said, guys, I appreciate you. If you haven't subscribed, make sure to do that, and I will see you all in the next one. Talk to you soon.